Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. So we've got CryptoCon here posting this. Bitcoin looks like May 2017 before the entire bull run. As the days are going on, guys, we're seeing, more and more candlesticks being printed on some of these charts here. And so he's looking at the 3-week Fibonacci channel RSI. Now take a look at May 2017 over here. You guys can see we did start going up. I mean, 2017 was, and even 2016 actually, a fairly bullish year for crypto in general. By May 2017, we were seeing these new highs being printed for Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin did get up above all-time high, and that former all-time high was back from November of 2013. And if you take a look down here, you guys can see another pattern forming, okay, when we compare this to today. And so that is the 3-week Fibonacci channel RSI. You guys can see it did spike up here, as denoted with this pink circle, came back down. We did hit the 0.618. Back up again and then back down. So that pattern looking very familiar here. Okay, fast forward, now we're in 2025, and you guys can see bull run started in and around December 2023, and now, guys, we're in June 2025, and this same pattern here, getting up above all-time high, is looking fairly similar. So hopefully we do see, that blow-off top now for Bitcoin and, ultimately for altcoins. Fear and greed creeping up a little bit now, no longer in the 40s, but we're still in neutral territory at 52. Market cap has gone up by a little bit, so has CMC 100, but again, only by just over 1% and 2% respectively. So we're not seeing that flow of liquidity in the market. We're not seeing much in terms of price appreciation, although the charts are green today, I think, for most cryptocurrencies, including altcoins. Another interesting observation that I wanted to bring to you guys from Rect Capital, okay, it looks like the retest is successful for the moment. So what he is noting, we'll take a look at Bitcoin on the weekly chart for a second. And if we zoom in here, you guys can see Bitcoin is staying up above former resistance. And that former resistance here, as I am going to show you guys, the Bitcoin chart on the weekly is from when we did see Bitcoin get up to those previous highs. But the close on the weekly chart, guys, is in and around here. I mean, if we want to pinpoint it, it's fairly close there, 104.4. And as you guys can see, this particular candlestick, so again, this is the weekly chart. This weekly candlestick is holding up above that level. So that is good news too. And for more information on where I think this market could go in the future, patreon.com/workingmoneychannel for that info. I know market isn't feeling that exciting, not yet. But, we're eventually going to get there. Let's take a look at XRP real quickly. And the weekly for XRP, XRP doing very well too. The $1.96 level has been that same level. Strong resistance forming strong support. We did dip down back in early April, but we did close above that on the weekly. So that's the weekly XRP chart. If I throw that on the daily, you guys can see XRP still just kind of trading sideways. This big impulse move to the upside, this was a great opportunity to finally see some meaningful gains for XRP hodlers that have been hodling for the few years before that during the SEC lawsuit. And now we're just kind of hanging out, guys. So hopefully we see something more meaningful coming down the pike very, very soon. The infrastructure has been put in place, and we're getting a lot more press releases and official announcements, I think, to that effect when it comes to RippleNet and XRP adoption. Subjective Views, guys, posting this. Ripple is aiming to be a full-service infrastructure provider, even in the country of Kazakhstan. Reese Merrick, he is the managing director for the Middle East and Asia at Ripple. He sat down with Vladimir Savov, Chief Markets Officer at Astana Financial Services Authority. So that is the Financial Services Authority in Kazakhstan. And here's what we found out, okay? Let me play you guys this clip.
What is Ripple's sort of vision for the digital assets ecosystem and how Ripple can contribute to that? And then for the region, what is Ripple's sort of ambitions here?
I think, we're extremely excited about the space as a whole. If you think we've been playing in the space since 2012, for a large portion of that time, we didn't have that element of support from regulators, from FIs. I really feel like we're at a tipping point right now where suddenly the regulation is looking to keep up with the technology and innovation. So from a Ripple perspective, I think it's business as usual from our side, but really we're starting to see a huge amount of traction. I think we aim to be that full infrastructure provider across the market. So whether that is for cross-border payments, whether that is for stablecoin settlement on off-ramp, then if it is tokenization, providing that support to be able to do that on the XRP ledger, and then obviously with custody to be able to safely secure those assets. So from us, it's a fully kind of holistic approach and we're seeing that. We work with large FIs. They don't want the complexity of working with 5 different partners for 5 different elements of completely new technology to their business. It becomes quite problematic internally to be able to get that amount of buying and sign-off. So really that's, as I mentioned earlier, the senior adults in the room when it comes to being able to provide that guidance, to be able to provide that strategy, and ultimately provide the solutions that are needed to take it from 0 to 1, but then also beyond that to continue to build and evolve kind of the technology in terms of what their offering is.
So there you guys go, guys. Heard it from Reese Merrick, basically stating that Ripple has created a fully holistic approach to cross-border payments. And, this is because financial institutions and banks, they don't want to deal with 5 different partners when it comes to new technology. So they really did pivot at a point, and they really realized, okay, we've got to kind of be everything, right? The bank of Ripple, so to speak. Any company that wants to operate inside the AIFC, whether it's offering financial products or non-financial services, need to be registered and regulated by this organization. In simple terms, the AFSA is to the AFIC what the US SEC is to FINRA. So that might give you guys a bit of an idea there. And that's FINRA, and what FINRA is to Wall Street. It makes the rules, ensuring companies follows them, and protects the integrity of the financial system within this special zone of Kazakhstan. So, we have, many countries now following suit. Of course, Temenos is, another one of those Ripple partners that has been helping the process along. Temenos is the back-end IT solution that did integrate RippleNet back in 2016. Now, KAF Digital Bank has started onboarding customers on Temenos SaaS to support its new Islamic digital banking operations in Malaysia. So this particular bank aims to deliver Sharia-compliant financial solutions by leveraging Temenos' software-as-a-service model, which is hosted by Microsoft Azure. So a couple of Ripple partnership connections there. Microsoft Azure has been connected to Ripple, also Temenos, as we know. And we know also, I guess, just as a point of interest, XRP is a Sharia-compliant cryptocurrency. KAF Digital Bank's adoption of the platform includes core and digital banking services, as well as payments, analytics, and access to Temenos' data hub. Early access customers are now being onboarded as part of the initial launch, marking the start of the bank's broader public offering strategy. The bank is focused on simplifying financial management and enhancing digital convenience for their clientele. KAF Digital Bank's use of the SaaS model is intended to support the delivery of customer-focused banking services while allowing the institution to prioritize business growth over technical administration. So, I'll go again, all in the name of making it easy for customers. As Reese Merrick did say, nobody really wants to partner up with 5 different partners. So, Temenos does this, integrating the RippleNet and the XRP Ledger DLT technology into these banks that do have to modernize before November 2025. So there's that hard deadline there as well. Otherwise, they're going to be left behind. So KAF Digital Bank is positioning its services to simplify users' financial management without compromising compliance or customer service. Of course, all these guys want the best for their customers. The collaboration between KAF Digital Bank and Temenos emphasizes customer experience and business agility, leveraging Temenos' regional expertise and understanding of market nuances with Malaysia's Islamic banking sector. So interesting news here coming from Temenos. They've really been working very, very hard over the last almost decade now to integrate a lot of these banks into the new solution, the one that is going to be the standard, the gold standard by 2025, and so by November 2025 to be specific. So more XRPL adoption moving forward. Gonna keep moving along. One of my Patreon subscribers did ask me to follow up on this tweet thread, and this specific response from David Schwartz here, when Vincent Scott was essentially talking about this thing that David Schwartz told him at XRP Las Vegas. Now Ricky Tan down here was responding. He was following up to this. So really, it's an asset on the ledger. So asking about the XRP ledger specifically. And to David Schwartz's response, I guess his earlier response, I did say that you could consider the XRP ledger together with other things Ripple has built to be a financial system. So it's not just XRP, it's other things. Ricky Tan here responding though. So really, it's the assets on the ledger we should be looking at more than just XRP. I'm starting to lose my mind a little bit. And so I don't know if you guys were, thinking about this or worried about this. What David Schwartz says here is this, okay, the XRPL is more than just XRP. There are stablecoins, there will be tokenized real-world assets, loans of all kinds, a decentralized exchange. Doesn't work with just one asset. So pretty much saying there are going to be multiple assets on the XRP ledger, stablecoins, real-world assets, loans, many different things. But guys, XRP is the lubricant that is going to move it all, okay? XRP has a privileged place. That's the other thing. You can use other assets, but XRP is privileged, and it will be the one and probably will be the choice if it is the most efficient. And because the way the XRPL is designed, chances are 90% of the time, I'm just throwing out a number there, but chances are the majority of the time, it will be chosen as the most efficient digital asset to move these things on the XRP ledger. It's the only asset that any account can receive as well. It's the only asset without a counterparty. So that's an interesting point too. Pathfinding checks for XRP liquidity first. Auto bridging makes offers to and from XRP more likely to be taken. It's the only asset you can pay transaction fees with. So it's a very utilitarian asset compared to any other asset on the XRP ledger. So I think I'd be willing to wager that XRP is going to get the most utility on the XRP ledger compared to any other asset, if you guys were worried about that. The question to ponder is how much value the XRPL can generate and to what extent that can turn XRP into value. So there you go. I mean, the more the XRP ledger is utilized, the more demand for XRP there will be, just based on all those things. That's very hard to do, though, he says. For example, it's very hard to know how much of XRP's value today comes from the XRPL's value. And I think to this point here, we are seeing the value of XRP going up and down, up and down, up and down based on spec, okay? So speculative investors purchasing, buying, and selling on the open market. But guys, this is why my targets are going to change if we do see real-world utility, and if that concept is still a bit, perhaps a bit vague or a bit abstract. You can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel, where I do explain this, I think, a little better. And, in my Q&A sessions, I do try to give my best opinions on where I think the market is going to go based on this, how we're going to see it moving forward. So there's that. And I hope this does help that particular Patreon subscriber that wanted me to explain this a little further and my thoughts on this. Ultimately, guys, XRP is central, but we're still not at scale yet. So we do have to scale before we really do see those numbers go up. But it sounds like it's going to happen. I wanted to play you guys a clip from this. Sounds like XRP and the RLUSD model. So there are a few blockchains that are doing this. I'm not entirely sure who was being interviewed here, but I want you guys to listen to just a clip of this interview, and then we're going to discuss.
Utility is a demand sink for people to stay on chain. Okay. And so payments is a shorthand way of defining the non-speculative transactional economy. And as it turns out, now that we have scale stablecoins, is actually really useful, right? Now, if you're going to be doing cross-border payments of any sort, it's slow and expensive. And it's expensive because it's actually really hard to move money from the United States, call it from like San Francisco to, let's call it a village in the Philippines.
Yeah.
It's actually really expensive to do that because can you imagine the number of actors in between that have to take credit risk on that money? And so if you have scale stablecoin markets, which we now finally do, it's taken us a number of years into this industry because guess what? It takes time to get to $200 billion of stablecoin issuance. And you have performant rails, which you now do with Solana, then you can actually have financial infrastructure for moving money. And that's super important because stablecoins are, of course, always the base asset for any market, right? And then, but what I think is particularly interesting about it is it's not just that now, I can transfer any amount of money instantly, settles instantly to you, and I paid, essentially whatever the validator fees were. There's also value in is the fact that it used to take 3 days to settle, and now it's instant. So there's the time value of money, there's the actual new profit pool in that. So usually when people talk about the value proposition of payments, they're talking about the fact that whatever I was paying the credit card company or to Stripe or whatever is anywhere between 50 bips and 350 bips of transaction fees. And now that can be making up kind of like 10. And so typically people are looking at the cost savings, which is part of it. But really that cost savings is reflecting the efficiency, which also introduces a new profit pool. And you add in peer-to-peer kind of liquidity pool dynamics, and there's actually entirely new yield opportunities out of that over the scale of payments.
So a lot of interesting points that she makes here. She does talk about the Solana network, but guys, I think we are missing the elephant in the room, the one that's scaling for enterprise-grade solutions, XRP and the RLUSD. So same concept does apply. Let's just put things into perspective here. Austin King posting this. Okay, fascinating statistic. Days since launch, for the primary stablecoins. Guys, remember, USDT has been around for quite a long time, 3,896 days. USDC, 2,445 days, but the RLUSD has only been around for 171 days. But if you look at the stablecoin competitive landscape, okay, with regards to regulation, transparency, and primary customer segment, the one that's been around the longest, they're offshore, no full audits, emerging markets, and payments is what they focus on. USDC is NYDFS approved, which is good for the United States. Attested monthly in terms of when you're looking at transparency, and they're looking at DeFi and retail, whereas the RLUSD is also NYDFS approved, audited monthly, as Ripple has mentioned, and they are focusing on banks and financial institutions. So really focusing on the big main players in the space. Considering Ripple does have all those banking relationships, we can see why the RLUSD is now going to be important for those multi-million dollar, if not billion-dollar transactions. So, and it's only been around for 171 days. So Ripple has been doing quite a bit very, very quickly. And yes, since stablecoins have an issuer as a counterparty, that does not allow them to interoperate across networks. Remember that too. As Ripple wrote in a letter to the Australian government in 2023, this is what was mentioned here. So let's not forget that. Does not allow them if they do have a counterparty. This is why XRP as an agnostic cryptocurrency is so important. Stablecoins have an issuer as a counterparty that does not allow them to interoperate across payment networks. So if you do have a stablecoin and it does have an issuer like Tether, like Circle, like Ripple, well, those cannot interoperate without a bridge asset, and that agnostic bridge asset is XRP. Now, you consider that in terms of global payments, and some of the biggest companies here, Google, Airbnb, and Uber, were all part of Ripple's original product vision for a unified global payment interface. And I don't know if you guys remember this from years ago now. XRP at the center. I think this was from a Ripple document, and some of the companies involved: Google, Uber, and Airbnb. Well, let's take a look at today what is happening. Apple, X, Airbnb, and Google, so some of those same companies there, including some new ones, all holding early conversations with crypto firms about integrating stablecoins as per Fortune magazine. So this is the latest, guys. The crypto industry has long sought a killer app to bring blockchains into the financial mainstream, and in stablecoins, it may have found one. Banks and fintechs are rapidly adopting stablecoins, digital tokens pegged to the value of the dollar, and now big tech firms are poised to do the same. According to sources familiar with the matter, Apple, X, Airbnb, and Google are all holding early conversations with crypto firms about integrating stablecoins. But again, remember, for interoperability, for a lot of these companies that do need that interoperability, to make payments to all their employees worldwide, because don't forget, these are tech firms, but they have employees all over the world. Think of all the drivers that work for Uber. Think of all the people who have their properties on Airbnb all over the world. This is a global issue, and global payments are becoming more and more important for a lot of these companies. And if those stablecoins cannot interoperate between networks, you are going to need that financial mechanism that can, in fact, transfer payments. So a great collage here, or collection, I guess I should say, of articles that I think just hit home that same point. The fact that the RLUSD is specifically mentioned here for banks and financial institutions. Let's think of the volume, the kinds of payments that are going to be done over the XRP ledger specifically. Now, we also have the SEC. They've approved NASDAQ Crypto US Settlement Price Index to include Solana, ADA, XLM, and XRP as of June the 2nd. Expect many crypto ETFs to get approved in the coming weeks. Index reconstitution effective June the 2nd, and you guys can see it down here. So that is another big milestone, I think, for U.S. regulation, especially since the SEC is fine with this now. Boy, it's really funny how much difference a year can make, isn't it? So that's also very, very positive news here. Jungle Inc. also commenting on this Motley Fool article, Why I Own XRP as a Strategic Hedge. So he's quoting the article, I'm a tech investor, AI, cloud, digital infrastructure, but 1% of my portfolio, it's in XRP. It's not a meme coin. It's not a gamble. It's a hedge against global financial inefficiency. So that's an important point too. Swift, $50 2-day transfers. XRP, less than 1 penny, and it settles in seconds. So isn't it obvious? It's kind of a no-brainer, right? Ripple processes 1 million transactions per day. I'm not betting on hype, which, okay, I got to admit, a lot of us were betting on hype in the early days. But when we look at it today, it's becoming a reality. I mean, even at that time, we were thinking, oh, this could, and this could, and this could, and this could happen based on the connections we were making. And now, guys, it actually is happening. So It is becoming a reality. I'm front-running infrastructure, he says. Judge Torres just rejected a key motion, but settlement rumors are heating up. Don't forget, the Poly market, too, has said odds are over 90% now for an XRP ETF to be approved this year. Standard Chartered says $8 billion could inflow in 1 year, too. If I'm wrong, I lose 1%. If I'm right, I front run a $150 trillion disruption. So, I think, many of us have bet even more than 1% on XRP doing very well in the coming years. Again, the real world utility is where the real money's going to be at. But, don't miss an opportunity to take profit off the table if you guys are in this, maybe this is your first cycle. I mean, the last thing you really want to do is round trip your crypto, especially if you bought fairly high and it has gone higher and then it goes down for a few years at bases and you're back in another crypto cycle. But I think even though we are seeing the real proof right in front of us, the riddlers were right. I'm going to say it. The riddlers were right. Brito XRPL posting this. Now we have 589 everywhere. And I wouldn't say this unless I'm seeing it too. Bearable Guy is showing 589. I mean, he has been for years now, 8 years since he made the number 589 famous. Ripple is following 985 people. Brad is following 589 people. And Donald J. Trump, guys, 9.85 million followers. Things that make you go, Also, Hidden Road, which we talked about the other day. I don't know if you guys remember that. I'll link that video up here. So what are we missing? Or are we missing anything? Have we been on track this entire time? Remember, Bearable Guy has even admitted that 589 is more than just a price. I know we were talking about EOY 2018. Unfortunately, that timeline has extended quite a bit. I don't think we really knew how long this was going to take, but it's all there, guys. Proof is in the pudding. And if you guys are interested in hearing what my targets are for this particular bull run, and again, those are going to change based on real world utility, or if we stay in a spec market, you can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. Conversely, if you guys are interested in perhaps supporting the channel in a different way, I also do have the Working Money Channel merch store available with all kinds of cool merch, including Bearable Guy t-shirts. Many different colors are available here too. So again, if you guys are interested, link is in the description of the video, but that's just my opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.